Hey everybody, it's your boy Jack here, and today in this video I want to welcome you to a brand new series here on my channel. It's actually a bit of a mini series, but it's today in this video I'm going to be talking and reviewing the Batman White Knight series. This series was done by Sean Murphy, written and drawn by Sean Murphy. It was colored by Matt Hollingsworth and lettered by Todd Klein. This series is really great. It's a really great and dark approach, dark and unique approach on the classic Batman-Joker conflict and everything. And I really do like this comic. But yeah, besides that though, I'm going to be reviewing this, and today in this episode, I'm going to be talking about the characters of the Batman White Knight series, and what I like about them, what I dislike about them. Besides that, before we get into the actual characters and stuff, and some of the spoilers and everything around that, if you're interested in reading the Batman White Knight series, I'd recommend doing that, because it's an awesome series. But if you are, I'd recommend checking out sort of like my trailer video down below, where I talk a bit about the series and stuff overall, trying not to get into spoilers, and I'll give you a bit of behind the scenes information about the series itself. So I'd highly recommend checking out that series down below. Besides that though, I'm going to give my formal spoiler warning at this point in time. So spoiler alert, let's dive into the spoilers. So let's start with Batman. So Batman as a character, he is very much struggles and sort of goes through a whole change and everything, and like a metamorphosis, and his whole storyline is based off of legacy and what kind of legacy he wants to leave on the earth, and what kind of legacy his past has left on the earth and everything, and the whole idea of his legacy haunting him and the impact that does have. More specifically, when it comes to the past haunting him, we can look at a character as Mr. Freeze, or Victor Fries, or I think it's Victor Fries, I don't know. But he is a really interesting character because although there's so much depth and beautiful imagery there for him as a character, there's so much great past that really does haunt Batman. When it comes to Batman, he's a character Mr. Freeze really digs up a lot of evidence about the taintedness, or the sort of the bad, the dark side of the Wayne family and the Wayne legacy there. And for the most part, the typical Batman storyline has been that Batman's always sort of looked up to his parents and has been always been grieving his parents, and has never really been able to let go. And in a way, with this legacy sort of being tainted with the relationship with Mr. Freeze and everything, and Freeze Corp Technologies, all that kind of stuff, I found it really interesting because it's you get this really great contrast there, where it's he's technically was in Mr. Freeze is very much of a villain in the Batman universe, but by having him as an ally, you get a really great darker tone there. You get a depth to Mr. Freeze that you never really get to see. But with Batman, you get this sort of interesting inner conflict that he has of accepting his past and moving forward from that. Now, when it comes to Mr. Freeze, I really do like how they set up Batman and Mr. Freeze to really contrast each other, and because Mr. Freeze has always sort of loved Thomas Wayne. He always looked at him as a father figure because his father never supported him and never supported his relationship and never really condoned and supported his life. So Thomas Wayne was very much to that, funding his wedding, supporting that and supporting his relationship and everything. And there's a beauty to that because it's in a way, his legacy that Bruce, that hearing of that legacy and hearing the support that he sort of had and everything, it's sort of heartwarming, and it's loving, and it's such a great moment there. And it shows that there's that depth there of the Wayne and Fries, Freeze relationship that is there. And it sort of is great because that sort of relationship of having that surrogate father in Thomas Wayne and everything with Mr. Freeze, it's great because it's really, they contrast that so well with Alfred and Batman, and they do that really it's done so well because it's they set up that really deep past relationship there with Thomas Wayne and Mr. Freeze, and it's oh wait, Alfred just died, and Batman Like, that's Batman's dad. That's someone who's always supported him and even supported his family. Like, it's supported, like, he supported Batgirl and Nightwing throughout their whole entire lives. And I love that because there's such a beautiful essence to that. And I think by sort of having those two characters, not really having a dad and everything, or not even having parents, to put in perspective there, like having sort of surrogate parents and stuff, it really does bring them closer and really shows that both of these characters are damaged to some degree, and I really do like that. And in reference to the past, it's like, it's really great to see that sort of contrast there. Moving forward though, when it comes to Alfred, there's such, and his passing and stuff, and his sacrifice that he does when taking himself off of life support and selflessly dying on behalf of Bruce in order to help him save the city and keep Gotham great and everything. And like, for his death, like, because of his death, it sort of has helped him. Like, there's so much damage there to Batman as a character. There's so much damage to Bruce Wayne, and like, you can see the conflict there as the story goes on in the few issues past his death and everything. But he eventually opens up and has to accept that Nightwing and Batgirl are the characters that, like, he needs to sort of like accept. He needs to become a fatherly figure to them in order to help them move forward. Now, moving forward, speaking of the two of them, when it comes to Nightwing and Batgirl, I found them so fascinating. I find it fascinating because, in a way, both characters have the same goal. They want to help move Gotham forward, and they really have to. They eventually accept the way that Jack Napier, aka the Joker, is trying to push forward. I really do like that because it's like, in a way, it's like, it's millennials. It's the world's changing. They accept it, and they need to bring the older generation forward. And what I really love about that is the fact that they do that, but they're not just trying, like, Sean Murphy, the writer of the comic, he didn't want to make them two characters sort of put together. He individualizes both characters. He individualizes Nightwing and Batgirl into different ethical situations. For example, he talks about the idea that Nightwing, or like, there's a whole conversation about whether or not Batman should be arrested and whether or not his identity should be revealed. And that's such a great conversation because it's like, Batgirl's like, no, I don't think he needs to be arrested. I don't want his identity to be revealed. I'm not going to help you with this. No, that's it. Bye. But Nightwing's like, okay, I'll help him, or I'll help you arrest him, but just don't take off his mask. That's all he has. And it's like, there's that great contrast between both of them as characters, and it's sort of because of the fact, and like, you sort of look at Nightwing a bit more, and it's like, and I think it's a lot because of like Nightwing being independent and like not really, in a way, being under Batman's like sort of symbol anymore, and being under his own, like, being his own person, being individual. I love that. I think I really love that scene because it shows how different they are, and even shows, like, through certain scenes and stuff with the Bat family, there's that, like, you get a really great idea of their different personalities, but also they're both of them having the ultimate goal of wanting to move Gotham forward, and they sort of do that by joining the GTO, the Gotham Terrorist Oppression Unit. And I really do support that. I think that's awesome, and like, I really like how, like, they are, like, they're not just pushing the, like, police force forward. They actually have to end up, like, helping Batman move forward and accept him, and like, sort of show him that this is like, push forward and be like, this is this is the world that we live in now. You need to accept that Alfred's gone. You need to accept, like, the problems that you have, and we need to move forward and be strong. And like, there's such a great relationship between Nightwing and Batgirl that it really does help support Batman's story. Now, in contrast, we have the Joker, aka Jack Napier, and his character. He's the other protagonist, or you can even say maybe even an antagonist to some degree of the story itself. And Jack Napier, slash the Joker. For context, I'm going to say Jack Napier, since for the majority of the story he's Jack Napier, and I'll mention the Joker whenever he actually becomes the Joker. But for Jack Napier as a character, it's so fascinating. I think for me personally, what I was really fascinated with was the fact that although the Joker is out of Jack Napier, the smarts, the wit, the like being the like the political side, the like sort of in a way maybe even a possibility like the gangster side of Jack, like of the Joker, or like the idea to bond people together and stuff for like an ultimate good, like that sort of side of the Joker. That side of the Joker isn't because of the Joker, it's because of Jack Napier. And like it's great to see that his personality under the Joker mentality, like Jack's personality under the Joker mentality, is just a corrupt version of himself. And I love that. I love the fact that like once he comes out of his trance, like you see such a different personality, that he is actually trying to do good. He's trying to like change Gotham, and he does. And I like that. I think it's fascinating to see like the sort of like the dual personalities there. But ultimately when it comes to Jack Napier and everything, and I think probably the most like gut-wrenching part of it, of the Joker himself, is, or like of Jack Napier himself, is the Joker himself. I think the way that this story is constructed throughout the whole entire series, even leading up to the end of issue number 7, where it's revealed that the medicine isn't working and he's going back, and he's gonna, by the end of the series, he's gonna be the Joker, and he's not gonna be Jack anymore. There's that beautiful like sadness to it. For me personally, when I was reading the first run of the series, there's so much shock, there's so much sadness, there's so much disappointment, because they built up the character so well, being such a great character, showing that how great Jack is as a person and how he wants to do good and everything. And it's like sort of that like really sad, depressed like moment where it's like reverting back to his evil self. And it's sad, it's shocking, but like it's also great because it, like there's that greatness to it where it's like, but look at how much he's done. Look how much he's changed Gotham. He never ended up defeating Batman, but he ended up helping changing Gotham itself. And I think that's ultimately the goal of the comic itself. And now lastly but not least, when it comes to Joker and the supporting characters surrounding him, the main one I'm going to hit on right now is the Neo Joker, aka Marion Drews. Now, the Neo Joker, she was like the second generation Harley Quinn, and for me, I find that with her, and even the contrast between her and Harley Quinzel, they, like, you can really tell like the divide there, and like the sort of like the idea of that the Neo Joker loved the Joker for the Joker, for the pickled like chemicals soaked into his skin, the idea that the personality that's no longer Jack. Yet Dr. Harley Quinzel loved Jack for Jack, and it's like there's that sort of gray area where it's like being the Joker and not being like being the Joker and being Jack, and like that sort of like interesting idea of where that sort of line blends and everything, of like where did Jack lose himself. It's also weird saying Jack because my name's Jack, but yeah, realizing that now. I think for me personally, the thing that I found that really great and like awesome about the Neo Joker as a character is that although the Joker reverted back to although Jack reverted back to the Joker by the end of the series and everything, when Jack was Jack and not the Joker, the Neo Joker, in a way, it became a personification of what the Joker is. And like the obsession that the Joker has, or like the obsession that the Neo Joker has, sort of mirrors the obsession that the Joker has for Batman. And stuff, and I like that, cause I like that too, because there's like a lot of mirroring here, a lot of parallels that are trying to get drawn and everything, and eventually like the obsession with the Joker sort of like loses it, and like I think for the Neo Joker, she's just like, okay, like I get it now, I want like, and I think she sort of grew out of who Harley Quinn is. Besides that though, there's one character who I personally haven't actually started to talk about yet, and that is the White Knight herself, Miss Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn's like probably the sort of most relieving character. Like, rereading the story through again for a second time, you get such a completely different perspective for her as a character. I like the fact that, you know, she had to orchestrate this all because Batman and the Joker were killing Gotham. They were destroying it. They were making the city chaos and everything, and that she needed to do something, make an event that would ground them and understand, like, the dangers and the drama and the and the damage that they have caused. And I like that. I like the conversation that she has with the Joker, being like, realizing that this is a person I fell in love with. I didn't fall in love with the Joker. I fell in love with Jack Napier. And that whole contrast there. And I really, really love that. Because it's like, to be honest, it's like, wow, like, that's, like, it just sort of, like, warms your heart. And, like, for me, it was, like, even leading up to the end of the story itself, it, like, melted my heart the way that she, like, has to lose this person because, like, she can't do anything about that. And even though she tried to sort of save him, she's losing him. But I also love on, like, the end of Batman, the fact that it's like, okay, this is sick. Like, the fact that they're sort of having a conversation. And even previously, when the Joker initially came into to Arkham Asylum, they had a conversation, and that he never did anything to, like, hurt their relationship because he saw good in her. And, like, the whole, like her even revealing at the end the fact that like, she was the White Knight, she orchestrated this all, and this is why she did it, was, like, mind-blowing. It was amazing, and I love the fact that she did that, because it's like, oh shit, that's awesome. I think the fact that she orchestrated this all and, like, everything, just, it shows how great of a character she is. And although, and that, like, throughout her whole story, and as it evolves and as it moves forward and moves on and everything, develops into such a strong character that really can stand on her own. But there's that sort of fine line on whether or not she's a supporting character or whether or not she is a protagonist. And I think what really makes her a protagonist is the fact that she did this on her own, and slowly but surely they develop, like, the story develops her into such a great, strong, powerful woman, such a great character, and I love that. But besides that, before I say deuces and everything, I sort of want to talk about a couple side characters here that, like, in the comics, that are a bit more of a background character. I didn't really know where to put them in and stuff, but this is where I'm going to put them in, the side characters. So firstly, the crime boss, like, the crime gang and everything, like, the villains of Gotham, you know, which are, like, Two-Face, the Croc guy, I think it's, like, Two-Face, Killer Croc, you got, the Mad Hatter, the Penguin, Clayface, like, all those characters and stuff, like, those villains and stuff, they were, like, the really big sort of subplot and everything, like Poison Ivy, that's another one. But those characters were, like, a subplot and everything, and sort of the way that the whole ball started rolling. But as much as I love those characters and everything, I sort of felt that they sort of stayed loyal to a lot of them to some degree. I felt that with these characters and with the plot and everything, with, like, the Mad Hatter and the playing cards and, like, the manipulation and, like, the hypnosis, all that kind of stuff, that part was probably the weakest part for me of the actual series itself. I felt the characters were interesting, but the story was the weakest because it just felt really repetitive. And stuff. I felt like they could have maybe done more, did something different. Besides that, the other person I'm going to be talking about here is James Gordon. And everything. I really do like his role, and I like how, in a way, I don't know whether or not this is intentional or if it's just sort of like two things being copied in a way, but the James Gordon in this story is very much like the James Gordon in the Batman Year One series, like, written by Frank Miller and Dave Mazzucchelli, but the way that there's a lot between those two stories that are very similar and everything, and I really do like that because it's like he still does have a heart. He still does have a side of who he is and everything, and I feel like, I hope that maybe in the potential sequel, the Curse of the White Knight, that sequel, I hope that they do a lot more with that character, because he had a lot of depth and like interesting like development in the beginning of the story, but they never really did a lot in the second half of the story, and he really sort of became a background character by the end of it, which is understandable, but I feel like it's like the second half would be really interesting for that, or like the sequel would be really interesting to see him being developed and stuff, and how sort of the Gotham police force has changed. So yeah, besides that, that's about it. Those are my thoughts about the characters in the Batman White Knight series. I ultimately felt like it was a great series and everything. I love that. I think it was awesome supporting it. I really love the characters and the dynamics that they go through. But yeah, those are all my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down below if you've read the Batman White Knight series. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you in part 2. And you guys have a good night. Bye!